frontline and engage from the Galio and J4, I don't give INTZ much chance.
It's going to be very difficult early game execution. They did get outscaled last time. Maybe this time they can find a strong, aggressive early game. And just the sheer amount of sustain between a Silas and a Vladimir, two champions who rely very heavily on it for their trade patterns, and only a single ignite. I feel like grievous wounds are going to be crucial. On top of the fact that your damage is already low, if you ever fall behind, it just feels like you're never going to kill a Vladimir.
Yeah, I mean, I think they do have good damage in the early stages, but once you really get later, you do need kind of higher amount of consistent DPS to knock these guys down, and we'll see if that ever does become a problem, because they certainly have the ability to end the game early with this style of composition. You have such powerful engage, you have such good team fighting ground objectives, and if they can get that sort of advantage and be really far ahead, you know, when that late game does arrive, they'll be fine, or perhaps they can even close it out before that happens. But it's going to be down to execution, I think, very heavily here for INTZ.
And here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Detonation FocusMe 1-1 in the group so far, looking to find a win, looking to move up and contest Vega at the top of the group, while INTZ need to find a win to stop themselves from going down in the first round robin. 0-3 start would make it nigh impossible for them to make it out. Would require a real miracle for them to contest in some tiebreakers. Already seeing a bit of aggression on the level 1. Sharpened flag throw down for Vision. See what Detonation FocusMe want to do here. And as you mentioned, Tazale, a lot of eyes on the early game. Not going to connect there on the abduct.
That would have actually been pretty big. Probably could have got a summoner out. I think that perhaps we could have seen Saros be a little bit more patient with that, try to make sure he was going to connect. But either way, nothing too much happening here in these early minutes at level 1. I do think that Saros is going to have to play very carefully in the early game. Nautilus has some of, if not the best gank assistance for a jungler. Rek'Sai is such a strong early game jungler as well. So especially, post level 3, once Rek'Sai has all of her abilities, Envy can set up for that so easily, both with his dredge line, but also with the passive root. The E also slows. Like, there's just so many ways to actually kind of lock down and set up for your Rek'Sai.
And Envy and Shinny were the duo that carried this team through their playoffs finals. So seeing them have a duo that has so much synergy, so much gank assist, does feel like a big threat for Saros in the mid lane. And honestly, Saros' first real test, as we see some level 1 trading here, trade of Aftershocks, as he's just been playing Ziggs, honestly. He's been neutralizing a lot of lane matches as opposed to trying to dominate or come out on top. Individual leads, so we'll see more from him in this game, and stealing away the blue buff early in the game. Rek'Sai has already started top side, but it will force top to bot jungling.
Yeah, so they will be kind of splitting the map here, and this does allow them to perhaps play more towards that bottom side. Galio does provide very good gank assist there. We'll see if he wants to try to actually contest that as blue, or if they will fully give that up. For now, you are expecting Evie to be having to sacrifice in the early levels anyway. As the Vladimir, you are going to get shoved in. You are going to be on the back foot until you get more of that CDR, more of those levels. So this may just be saying, hey, I wouldn't be able to contest on the top side anyway because my Vladimir is going to be too weak of a laner in the early games. And I think that makes a lot of sense, right? So you say, Vladimir, you play defensive, we split the other side of the map, and that way you're never going to be kind of stuck in this 2v2 that you couldn't win regardless.
You can already see Hecarim using some of that lane pressure to come down to make sure that Shinny can just take complete control of this jungle, both mid and top, pushing heavily in the favor of INTZ. So if Jarvan wants to make a play, it does feel a little bit limited as to where he can go, just given the threat of Rek'Sai being in his jungle at any moment.
He has done a kind of full bot side clear of INTZ's jungle. He's sitting in that tri-brush, so I think they're actually threatening a dive. It looks like they are actually going for a dive, perhaps. I'm just watching the mini-map right now.
Lane first blood. Well, it does go down. We'll get you a replay. It's a 1-for-1 trade. Not entirely sure what happened, but we'll keep you guys posted.
Yeah, I mean, it was a dive. I could see him setting up on the mini-map there in that tri-brush. He clears those 3 camps. He looks for bot. They are able to pull off the dive. Unfortunate that we didn't get to see it, but it is first blood going to Utapon. Thankfully for Mills, he was able to actually trade back there, and now mid lane.
Engage in the mid lane, the bite gonna come out, it's gonna be enough. Saros forced to flash away. So the mid lane gank kind of as predicted. Good setup for Nautilus. Saros has the luxury of the TP here, can come back to lane if needed. A lot of damage there onto Mills, but already a lot of action here in this game.
Yeah, a lot of action early on. I do really like the early game planning. I like the draft. I think DFM is coming this with a very intelligent game plan. They attacked Envy's champion pool very, very heavily. And here now we will get this replay. Steel had done a full camp clear on that right side of the map. Utapon flash does get cleansed out, but EQ through for the knockup. Utapon picks up first blood. Steel just not able to get out. Gang should have been tanking up a little bit more on that turret, because he's the one who actually started off that play. I think he could have taken a couple turret shots with his aftershock there. And perhaps it was that Jarvan took aggro with the flag before the taunt flash came through. I'm not positive. Either way, you would have wanted to see Gang take a couple more turret shots, then the Jarvan takes aggro after that, and I think they could have gotten the first blood and gotten out scot-free.
Yeah, we'll have to keep our eyes on that execution as we move further into the game. Now, both AD carries getting a kill, ultimately not too consequential, but it was Ashe losing out on multiple waves on the bottom side, so it was ultimately the biggest factor there.
Yeah, and it's first blood, right? So you get the additional gold from that early kill, plus you have the additional farm, and it looks like Steel wants to threaten this once more. You know that there is no flash on either one of these members. There's no cleanse on Redbird, so there is the potential to threaten this. But for now, just kind of taking the Gromp away, Shinny will be walking down towards that bottom side, and Jarvan going to be running into him here.
They go for the fight on the Scuttle, but it's challenging Smite versus double longsword. Steel able to grab it away and retreat. He's going to put a much more comfortable position, though, for Mills and Redbird, is knowing they have their jungler now on the bottom side of the map.
Yeah, and look at all the vision along this river, right? There's two pinks. There's also the Scuttle Crab that has been taken there. So a lot of vision to actually protect them. You know, in that area, they know that they are kind of vulnerable at this point in the game, that it was vertical jungling set up by DFM, and Steel and Seros now going to move in and try to remove some of that vision to keep that threat high. But still, they will have to be careful. Shinny is up a level on Steel here, and certainly you would expect him to win that duel. Seros also has no flash, and Envy is almost level 6, and once you do hit level 6 with the Nautilus, you can look.
Oh, but level 6 comes in for the Silas first, takes the ult before Nautilus even gets a chance, but just throws it out for a bit of harass with Rek'Sai there. Didn't have the option to go for the all-in. Jarvan, though, I think saps a little bit of mid lane XP and is able to grab his level 5.
Yeah, so it's pretty well done. I mean, you're going to trade your ultimate out for the flash of Envy, and he's going to have his own coming up first. Still, Seros will have to be careful until his flash is back. Envy will be down a summoner, but still has ultimate, and Shinny will be getting level 6 relatively soon. That is when it's going to get really, really scary. There's so much burst that can come through from this squad. It will be DFM starting up the Dragon, though, as Mills has gone back to base, and Shinny not really going to be able to contest this.
Yeah, good use of the bot lane priority. Steel camping bot lane for so long, but they really just are not tanky enough to force this one through. Steel not having gone back and bought much of anything, and Rek'Sai enough of a threat now. He approaches level 6 to make sure to dissuade that option.
Yeah.
Tay, though, taking some time in the mid lane. May just try to go in with the ultimate, a lot of CC, but the dash out is nice. The knockup still comes in, and Seros goes down. Shinny gonna grab the kill in the end. Well executed by INTZ.
Yeah, really nice roam down from Tay. They're able to take down Seros quite easily. I do think DFM could have committed to the Dragon. It felt like a very risk-averse choice. Perhaps, you know, that makes sense when you look at the compositions, right? When you're kind of taking into consideration game state. They didn't need to try to force this. This is just really well done, though. Hook into ultimate, the knockback from that charge from Hecarim, pushing him back away from the turret. Very, very easy execution onto Seros. One thing it's also kind of worth talking about here, too, is how effective I think, you know, Zhonya's is going to be, both for the armor on the Seekers, both for Vladimir and the Silas in the mid lane, but also because when you're fighting against a Nautilus, it's such an obvious ultimate that you can actually immune that with the Zhonya, so even in that 1v1 matchup can be quite effective.
So Seekers does come out, not a lot of cooldown reduction for the Vlad, which will kind of slow down a lot of his laning threat, but will make it a lot more comfortable for him to just survive, and that kind of is the name of the game, right? Once again, the pressure is on INTZ to pull off this more aggressive early game, to snowball a bit. And they traded the 1-for-1 on bot side. They got that play mid, but it does feel like as these level 6s are starting to come in that they need to do a little bit more to extend this lead.
Yeah, and I do really like that roam from Tay. That is the kind of play that you want to see them consistently making, right? You want to see them, every time you have ultimates, try to force a play, because their early game is very, very powerful. Their team fighting very powerful as well, and they do have, you know, TP Ignite Hecarim. When that ultimate comes back up, he can look to make another play. Ashe is now level 6, so there's multiple forms of engage on the INTZ squad, and it's just going to be up to them to kind of find those opportunities, because Gang certainly can respond to engages very well himself on the Galio. Yeah. He can look to try to turn those around, and if you can't burst someone down, the fight does have the chance of kind of swinging back in DFM.
I'm curious to see how both these teams move around the map. We talked about Redbird and Gang both being guys who like to roam, who like to set up these plays map wide, and if we're not just going to see, you know, immediate aggressive plays with the power of ultimates, maybe we see a bit more map play, a bit more rotational play as both teams move around. For now, however, it seems to be, you know, slowed down a little bit. Just that one gank in the mid lane. flash now back up for Seros, so trying to find the perfect time. Seros does take a lot of damage here, though. The ulti now coming out. Shinny gonna look to land the Prey Seeker and follow up with the ulti, but it might not even be necessary. The sidestep, though, beautiful from Seros. The flash gets a bit of damage down, uses the ulti. Well, Seros still alive, goes under himself, makes it out. I can't believe it. Oh, Seros takes a bite out of Rek'Sai. What a turn.
That was so sick. The heal from Kingslayer coming through, steals Rek'Sai's ultimate, and is able to use it in combination with that turret to take him down. It looked like Seros was dead to rights, but that was a sick outplay onto Shinny. The whole thing was really all about dodging that Prey Seeker. If he doesn't dodge the Prey Seeker, he just straight up dies. And look at this initial burst from the Nautilus, very well played. Gets his full combo off onto Seros. Seros is looking very, very dead, but then the sidestep on that just barely doesn't get executed. It looked like the Prey, I don't even know, the ultimate essentially went off at the same time as the Kingslayer there. That was a very interesting interaction. It seemed like he got the heal almost before the Rek'Sai ultimate damage came through, and I think that is due to the travel time of the Rek'Sai ultimate. It seems like he reveals from the Unburrow before the damage actually came through, and in that tiny, tiny window, I believe Seros got off the Kingslayer, heals back up, barely survives it. That was crazy.
Honestly, just a stunning outplay there coming in, and that's, I think, teaching a lot of people about how that interaction apparently works. Silas Main's feeling a little bit more comfortable in solo queue after that one, but
yeah,
just a stunning outplay for Seros, and that's such bad news now for INTZ. The good news is they get the Rift Herald, but in the meantime, they've lost the Dragon, and things are only going to get more difficult as Seros is surviving in a lane that we thought would be a source of so many kills in the early game.
Yeah, certainly they were wanting that, and the first kill looked pretty easy to get. They have actually gone for the lane swap now here. INTZ off the back of that. They did grab Rift Herald, so gonna be really close. Looks like INTZ likely will be able to get first turret though.
Puts them in a good position now, a little bit of extra gold in their pockets, and actually able to accrue a 1K gold lead despite an even score line. That will shift, of course, as this tower does go back. Tower plating still up for the Sivir as well, and a lot of solo gold actually going over to Utapon. Already has one whole completed item, and seems to be happy with the amount of attention he's been getting. Has set him up to succeed on the bottom side of the map.
Yeah, just their game plan was honestly very, very intelligent. Steel being able to go down to kind of his strong lane, find the plays around that, and get the Sivir into a nice, advantageous position. So certainly Utapon set up well for success at this point in the game. You can see Steel is also going Cinderhulk. I don't think he needs to be anything other than the front line when you have Sivir, Vladimir, and the Silence. That is so much damage already.
Yeah, it feels like it might be enough.
Yeah, like you just need to kind of make space for those guys. And DFM now going to park Utapon mid lane. This is just about wave clear, delay the game. And Sivir can certainly do that with the Essence Reaver. Not only are you having more utility with the CDR for your ultimate, but you're constantly refilling your mana bar every time you're auto-attacking. So you can essentially infinitely wave clear here in the mid lane. And they'll send Silas and Vladimir out to the side lanes and just 1-3-1. Try to force INTZ to respond to them, which will just slow down the game.
Ideal situation now, it feels like, for Detonation FocusMe. I mean, Essence Reaver, it's an infinite wave clear. Vladimir's sitting quite comfortably, and it feels like INTZ, who aren't historically a crazy aggressive team, are going to have to be willing to make big aggressive plays to break down what is honestly like a perfect setup for stall on the side of Detonation FocusMe. They even have a mountain when they want to contest objectives later, and you know, when you got 5 members strong for a team fight, it just feels like, how are INTZ actually going to fight around a Baron against this team? Yeah,
and I mean, things can certainly change, you know, if INTZ can out-execute, right? If you can get an Ash Arrow, you know, out of vision on Sivir so you can't spell shield it, kill it right off the bat at the start of the fight, then even late game you can still win fights. But, you know, given all things going even, you are certainly giving the favor to DFM, you know, both in the 1-3-1 as well as in that 5v5. So INTZ will have to engage, but thankfully for them, Hecarim, Ashe, and Nautilus are 3 of the best in the business at doing it. So they certainly will have their opportunities, but I want to see them continue to play aggressive. I think that the Infernal is really an important place for them to try to force, because that is going to be in about 1 minute. They're all going to have their first major item completions. They should be looking to focus getting vision around that area now, and they do have 3 pink wards already in that river, so if they can get there first, they can force a fight there, or just take the objective. It would bode well for them.
And see if they can get some picks. Of course, when we look back at the final that they played in CBLOL versus Flamenco, it was really Shinny and Envy together, you know, teaming up, finding picks to make those big plays, taking off individual members to open up objectives on the map. And I wonder, with this Rek'Sai Nautilus duo, if we'll start to see them team up to do some of the same here against Detonation FocusMe. But DFM also a very cautious team, throwing down vision, trying to play very safe around it though. We'll have to face check eventually here, and you can see Rek'Sai kind of lurking in the shadows, waiting to find that opportunity.
Yeah, certainly the case, and I think both teams have done a really good job of actually battling back and forth for vision in this bottom side river. Has been such an important point in the game to contest, and Tay now roaming down, has pushed out top wave, so we'll have priority there. They're looking for the engage.
Ooh, arrow misses though. Are they going to continue to try to go for the play? Vladimir off to the side, has hit 2. Shinny potentially in trouble, has the ability to drop a little bit of aggro with the Rek'Sai ultimate. Now the Galio's going to be locked in with the Cataclysm. Ashe taken out to safety. A lot of summoners burn on the side of INTZ. Trade back and forth. Does feel like DFM came out on top, but no one actually going to drop here.
Yeah, pretty close, honestly, on both sides. I mean, you have a lot of ultimates used on either side. Seros does still have his available, but Tay critically having that Hecarim ultimate. Rek'Sai, the ultimate is up as well, so those ones are pretty big. It was INTZ trying to start that fight off, but Mills not able to find anyone with the arrow, and we'll see if DFM is even willing to take this fight. I think without getting any sort of major advantage or pick, they likely just have to seed the dragon, and it will be the case.
No level 11 for Vladimir yet, as well as no ulti does make it a bit difficult to fight those fights. So INTZ, good posturing, good threat there. And taking the dragon as well. And it feels like kind of just sizing each other up. You know, round 1 of the fight, they just wanted to see, was there going to be any misexecution, like testing each other, looking for those vulnerabilities. And maybe they can try to capitalize on the Tahm Kench's lack of flash, but otherwise, it does feel like we might just see patient play until the next major objective comes out.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is honestly pretty intelligent play on both sides. DFM, if they were able to get a pick and have a major advantage, then they can challenge for the Infernal. But, you know, given that they weren't able to do so, you do favor INTZ in the fight. So they are able to grab that Infernal and erase a little bit of any potential scaling advantage that DFM will have. We'll see, though, as DFM certainly has, I think, the kind of pace of the game in their favor.
And also, Mills now sitting very comfortably in the mid lane with Redbird. And while Ashe wave clear is definitely not, doesn't feel as oppressive as Sivir wave clear, can very comfortably push this out and start to roam with the power of the arrow, with the power of the Tahm Kench. And maybe Evie has to feel a little less comfortable on this side lane up against the Hecarim. Does not have the Hourglass completed, has opted for the Proto Belt, so a bit more burst for him, but a bit less survivability.
Yeah, probably going to go into the Zhonya's next. Either way, Seeker's just such an efficient item when you think, okay, well, who's actually going to come and try to kill you? It's going to be Hecarim and Rek'Sai most likely. Both are physical damage dealers, so that is going to be fairly easy for him to deal with. And the longer he holds Hecarim in this side lane, just farming and kind of trading back and forth, the better it is here for Evie. So we'll see how long he's going to be able to do that. INTZ having their ultimates come back up now. Mills has that Crystal Arrow available. Nautilus has the ultimate now too, so they can look to try to push out the sideways group and see if there's any opportunities to force.
And just huge damage now coming from Udapon as well, going for the IE second, so a lot of AD, not so concerned about attack speed, but definitely improving the wave clear even further with the Boomerang Blade. And Evie did this a lot on the Kayle game as well. He absolutely loves just taking Krugs when he's in a side lane, farming up, taking those resources, and it seems like DFM as a team are aware of how good he is and are just willing to put resources into him.
Yeah, and I think it makes a lot of sense. You know, you have a tank Jarvan over here. He's not going to get nearly as much from the gold, you know, as the Vladimir will. Vladimir scales like an absolute monster into the late game, and in competitive play, you know, Steel on this Jarvan is having to play around his bot lane so often anyway. He doesn't necessarily have time to go down there and farm all these camps. So, you know, Evie going to make the most of that. Will be taking any additional farm he can grab, but it is a 3-man INTZ squad heading down towards Evie, and they may look for some sort of a dive here, but Vladimir can be very difficult to dive.
Has just used the Proto Belt for a wave clear though. Is now going to start the back. Are they going to go for it? I don't know if they have the confidence to pull the trigger. Oh, has opted to stay now, so it could move in. Of course, next break will be the Ocean, so setting up on bot side isn't the worst thing in the world. It does feel pretty natural choice, and they'll now move up and get a bit more vision in the river, take a bit more control on the bottom side. But interesting to see INTZ send 3 members down there and then end up not committing to the play.
Yeah, perhaps just hoping that, you know, Evie would get a little bit over aggressive, you know, start wave clearing or trying to push forward off of his tower, maybe even check for some vision. And in that case, you certainly could take him down. But, you know, when you do go down there, if you don't have eyes on all 5 members, it can be very risky. You know, Gang is not that far away from being able to kind of roam down and respond with a Galio ultimate. You know, there is TP on Seros, so there are abilities for DFM to try to respond to any potential dive. And INTZ just wasn't really feeling fully confident that they can make it happen.
And both teams are giving each other so much respect. If we look at just the vision on the map, no one's really pushing into enemy territory. They control a river at best. You can see DFM control their top side in vision, bot side a bit more on the side of INTZ, but no one is using a little bit of mid-priority to push in for deeper vision. They're giving so much respect to the potential for a turn, for a dive, for that Galio or Tom Kench or Ash to kind of impact a play.
Yeah, and I think for the side of DFM, you know, defensive vision certainly is nice. You know, there's a lot of wards kind of over here on this side of the map for them. You can see, you know, they have pink wards and kind of vision wards in this area, just trying to protect Seros as they're looking mid lane.
A bit of engage there. Udapon taking a bit of damage. Good buffer there. Galio dash is going to take him out to safety. So far, no major cooldowns burned. But INTZ threatening. Poke not going to connect either. Envy feels like if you hit Udapon there, we may have seen the full commit to the fight, but both sides just backing off for now. INTZ, though, definitely have control of mid lane before Evie gets there. Seros, a lot of potential engage ultimates for him to take away if he wants to be the catalyst to get a fight started. INTZ will get mid priority here. The question is, what are they going to do with it?
Yeah, they did at the very least pull, you know, the solo laners out of the side lanes and back to mid lane as DFM's bot lane looks to reset. IE is now complete for Udapon. That is a monstrously strong 2 items. Very, very expensive build, but because, you know, Udapon is not getting pressured, he is not really being forced to actually fight. He has been able to kind of have the luxury of going for that. And DFM now may lose this bottom turret as a result of their kind of
Seros. Rek'Sai spotted out there. Seros definitely going to be in trouble here. Takes the Rek'Sai ult. Will buy him a bit of time before the rest of the team can get here. But INTZ not willing to pull the trigger. See that Rek'Sai ult. Remember what happened last time and do not want to commit. Heavy threatening on the flank as well. Just getting scarier and scarier on this Vladimir. A bit more cooldown reduction. Level 2 in the Hemo Plague.
Yeah, we'll see if DFM actually has the confidence to try to take this fight now. Tay will be able to knock down a turret, but this is, you know, next Dragon, a few more minutes have passed. Seros gonna have to TP back in.
Gang now caught out, the rest of the team moving in. We'll see what the Vladimir can get done. Hemo Plague is gonna hit 2. Shinny now running for his life. Seros immediately onto the back line. Mills is gonna be in trouble, but Redbird says no. Tay trying to find steal, will instantly delete the Jarvan, but in a trade for his own life. Tonka land, gang flashes forward, hits Redbird as well. Shinny off the flank wants to get something done, but he's just not impacting the fight. The Rek'Sai is invisible, but the stolen Rek'Sai all puts Seros right on top of Mills. Another one is going to drop. Mills trying to go for the outplay. The rest of the team is here, they're on the way. Seros is going in with the shield, and he's going to take him down again on the edge of death. But Seros comes out on top.
4 for 1 for DFM. Massive team fight for them. And that has got to feel so bad for INTZ. Not only will they get decimated in the fight, they're going to lose the Dragon here to boot. DFM going to be in such a strong position off of this. Yes, they lost the turret, but winning a team fight at this stage in the game really kind of spells disaster, it feels like, for INTZ, who's going to be in such a difficult position later.
Absolutely fearless. You can see the confidence right now for this Detonation FocusMe lineup as AO. Udapon going to try to grab a mid lane tower as well. 2 items now on the Sivir. Matched by the Ashe, but just gets scarier and scarier as we look back at this.
Yeah, and Evie was really huge in that fight. You can see him charging up and being able to get that empowered Q off. Shinny is pushed out of the fight almost immediately, and Seros is doing such a good job actually kind of zoning for the rest of the team. As the Hecarim dives in, Shinny has already been pushed out of the fight, so there's not really any dive buddy for him. So everyone is going to turn back onto the Hecarim, knocking him out as Seros is chasing Mills out. They're able to focus down the Tom Kench, and then such good use of stopwatches in this team fight really did buy a lot of time for Steel and Seros in particular to be able to have very effective team fights and to kind of get out of there alive, especially for Seros. And you can see how effective Vladimir was in that team fight. Evie got so much AoE damage off, and this is just going to get harder and harder for INTZ.
And it does feel like INTZ weren't comfortable 100% when it came to that teamfight execution. They're going to try to rinse and repeat, though. Flash away on the arrow. Shinny could be in trouble. The flag and drag forward. Shinny now going to take the tunnel back. INTZ still fishing, still looking for that opportunity.
Yeah.
But
I mean, we really need to see Tay. If he's going to dive like that, it's got to be at the exact same time as the Ashe Arrow, as the Nautilus diving in, as the Rek'Sai going forward, right? They all have to be kind of on the same page because one member from their team is not going to be enough to kind of solo make it happen, especially through the peel that is going to be offered by Gang.
And INTZ's incredible team fighting wasn't exactly what won in the finals. It was a lot of picks in the mid game, leading to advantage states, whereas DFM were very clearly the best team fighting team in Japan. Used champions where they could abuse it. Tom Kench, Kindred, where teams who were less experienced would get caught out by those cooldowns. And now you can see with the Vladimir, they're just pushing that advantage. They're shoving it in the face of INTZ, and it's only going to get harder from here.
Yep, definitely is. But INTZ still a lot of time to make things happen, and a game certainly can turn on a pick, as you said, that was more how they had a lot of the success in CB LOL, and they do have a lot of ability to actually find those picks here, certainly. So we'll see. I do think they may want to try to make some of their plays happen more in the side lanes, though. Is they're going heavy.
The big outplay. Goes down, but just takes his own health. Guys immediately going to get burned down by the Ignite. Well played by Tay there. Those are the picks we were talking about, but don't expect them in the 1v1.
Yeah, that was huge from Tay, you know, to be able to actually take down Evie. Evie still had the Zhonya's, and maybe could have actually Zhonya's off the Ignite, then had the empowered Q to perhaps survive. Either way, really nice outplay, and this is something that is going to get them a lot more time. Dropping the Ignite fairly early here, so there's not a tremendous amount of healing that can actually come back through for Evie. Would have needed to try to Zhonya's there, but even then, I'm not sure if he would have survived.
And just very, very well played by Tay to come out on top there, but it does feel like a bit of a fumble from Evie in those small circumstances, and now it puts the Hecarim in a very dominant position. Of course, Vladimir on 2 items, but the Hecarim kind of terrifying in that 1v1 duel scenario, especially when the Ignite is available. And Evie has to be careful because he is pretty much everything for his team's full-on 5v5.
Yeah, he's definitely a very, very strong member of it. And I do think he'll be fine still in the 1v1 against Tay. He has to be pretty respectful of the all-in, but besides that, you know, you can obviously poke away at the Hecarim and sustain and constantly harass him. So just gonna have to respect that all-in. We'll see, though, if they're gonna look to engage.
Sunlash comes out, Jarvan gonna be stunned with the Flag and Drag, still takes him to safety, threatening with the taunt. Gang doesn't want anyone else to follow up, and play will get disengaged. Could see the Rek'Sai come out, but feels a bit too high risk, low reward. INT instead will set their sights on the mid lane tower.
Yeah, this is honestly really nice from INT, setting up vision around the Baron. Again, trying to threaten with this engage. They're not quite able to take Steel down, but they do at the very least force Seros to come back to mid lane. They got Evie out of that side lane as well, so they're trying to force the hand of DFM, trying to force them into these team fights before, you know, they really want to opt into it. And they are able to, at the very least, get some pressure off of this. But Sivir now on 3 items, PD picked up. That just makes the dive that much harder for champions like the Hecarim, like the Rek'Sai, who are now going to have to deal with that lifeline passive.
And we now have, you know, double stopwatch, or double hourglass coming out for both Evie and Sarah, so that does limit a lot of the engaged potential options. You know, you look at Tay, relatively easy ult to stopwatch if you see it's coming. And the same is true for Envy. You already mentioned it. Nautilus's worst nightmare is someone on the enemy team having the arrows, because it just eats the cooldown. You don't get anything back.
It's really interesting also to see Gang's build here going for the Righteous Glory instead of a more kind of defensive option. He is, you know, saying, all right, well, I'm one of the main forms of engage, so being able to threaten, you know, the Righteous Glory into a Just Punch taunt, something along those lines, is pretty neat. I do think that you can question the value of that versus just something like a Knight's Vow when you already have such incredible team fighting, but perhaps because of that reason, they don't feel that they need to invest heavily into it and would rather kind of shore up some of their weaknesses, such as being good.
And Gang, of course, does like to be a big playmaker as well, so maybe making the choice that's right for him as opposed to the choice that's right for Steve. But now stealing the arrow, taking it away. Tom Kent's trying desperately to split Mills out, but Mills on the run, Evie standing. And just continue to extend the trade. The pool already used, but the rest of the team is falling apart. Mills is going to go down. Redbird next. Goes gold.
Tay.
But I don't think anything else is going to happen. Tay is backing off. They don't want to extend the fight. They lose 2, and they get nothing back. On the side of INTZ, DetonatioN FocusMe with a highway straight to the Baron if they want to go for it.
Yeah, I think they could very easily start this up. They still have the Galio ultimate. They still have the Vladimir ultimate as well. And Gang could threaten a turn here, so INTZ going to be in a really rough position. This Baron is going down.
Evie now trying to extend it. He's got the chemo play going down. Goes golden on the side of Shinny. Vladimir will go into the pool. Will come out a little bit more damage. Shinny running down for his life. Saros wants to get it going. Hecarim on the backside wants to turn the play. Shinny taken down. Evie still alive. A lot's going to come down to what Tay can do, but he's taunted up. Does get one. Looking for the second one as well. Vladimir with a bit of healing is going to get taken out. Tay now starting to pop up, but the Baron has been taken down, and Utapont has arrived to the fight. Big damage on the Boomerang Blade, but it does not connect. Redbird returns, Mills here as well, and INTZ hold on, but lose the Baron in the exchange.
Yeah, it is kind of the 2-for-1 in that fight around the Baron at the end, but in the larger exchange, DFM get the Baron, got the initial kills, so they certainly come out very far ahead off of this.
One has to be careful.
They should be able to take this turret. They're going to be able to grab it, and very nicely done to trade something back, but still DFM feels like they are very much in control of this game. Tay has been a bright spot, you know, picking up those 2 kills on the solo laners in the team fight was very big to especially deny those Baron buffs, you know, keep those out of the side lanes. But here it is one more time. Zero stealing the Ashe ulti. Tahm Kench in position to actually devour him up, but Redbird could not flash over the wall. Jarvan's ultimate kind of blocked him away from that, and then they fully commit to the dive onto Mills. Tay elects to try to walk up instead of teleporting, and as a result, isn't actually here in time. Then DFM just starting up the Baron 2-man. They have Gang, Seros, Evie feeling like they can win this 3v3. So they do look for the turn, and in the eventual play are able to kill Shinny and more importantly, keep him away from the Baron so DFM can finish it off. But that being said, Tay still full health, does ultimate in, and is able to clean up both of the solo laners here, Seros and Evie, both getting chopped down.
Just the longer that Hecarim stays in the fight, the more terrifying he gets. The Rampage stacks, the Conqueror as well, but very fortunate that they were able to make it out in time, that they had the Tahm Kench, the Ashe coming in there as well. You can now see them returning to mid lane. Try and hold here against the Baron. It will be very difficult for them to do anything to the empowered cannon creep. Don't have a ton of range, but it looks like DetonatioN FocusMe not opting to step forward to try to protect it. Mills will get to take that one for free. One hit on the tower. I wonder if it's giving INT a bit of a false sense of safety here, but now they have all 5 members strong, where you can see Evie still on the bottom side, of course, does have the TP, but DetonatioN FocusMe know what it means to fight without him.
Yeah, and Evie now has Death Cap Gold, so that is a massive power spike, but INTZ are looking for the potential flank here.
It's a good opportunity for INTZ. Evie is not in the fight. He's backed up. He's about the Death Cap. He's looking for the back line. Mills is going to be in trouble. The Stolen Ult does knock him up. The rest of DFM surviving, but Evie instantly onto the 80 carry. Tay in the middle of the rest of the team. He's going to get taken out. Evie now going to be free to just pop off in this back line. The Vladimir just bleeding them out on the side of INTZ. Steel stepping forward. One last hit on the tower. There's the Righteous Glory. The taunt not quite going to connect as Envy Spider-Man's his way to safety. The rest of the team, though, not going to give him any mercy. DetonatioN FocusMe clean house.
I think they could actually just end the game here, potentially. They have the Baron buff. They TP'd back in with Utapon, and they're going to look for it.
Pushing down, they're so incredibly strong. They still have 38 seconds left. The Sivir just tearing through the creep waves. They have more than enough damage here to end the game. It is all on Mills, but I don't think he's going to get the opportunity to do so. Disaster for INTZ as they are set to go 0-3, but DetonatioN FocusMe here in the first game of the day, making good on their promise to find those opportunities as they pick up the win.
Very impressive.